proud this evening to welcome to our call, especially on a topic that's so near and dear and to my heart. Here we go. Please help me put some love in the chat for Crown Leader Ra of Earth. Ra, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Leslie.
You are welcome.
Super happy to be here.
I've been looking forward to this. And how this all happened is Ra did help me open up 2021 in January last year, where we did a call on mindset. And it was so good. As I was laying out January, back in November, I thought we should have an encore with Ra. And I wrote him a note, and he happily agreed to join us here this evening. So I want this now to be all about Ra. So Ra has sent me five, I believe, are your top tips or your five most important thoughts around mindset, Russ. What I'm going to do is pitch to you, if that's cool with you, and then you can just do your thing, and we'll go back and forth like we usually do. But before we do you have any opening comments that you would like to say to our field this morning?
Well, first of all, yeah, and thank you for the opportunity. I love being here. I love doing this. I love attending these calls. I learned so much. The last few weeks have been awesome, especially when it comes to like technique, like what to do. And so this is going to be a good contrast to that because it's going to be about mindset and deeper into mindset than most are usually discussing or even considering when it comes to mindset. And yeah, I just want to say that I've utilized these techniques through my entire life. I went to school for psychology. I've been asked to be on over 50 podcasts talking about the things that I'm going to be going over in this hour, but it always wasn't like that. Like I come from a place in my life where I was confused and insecure about what we're doing here, and I went to school to figure that out, and I studied voraciously, and I worked with people my entire life. And so I actually message every single person that follows me on Instagram, and a lot of people are also unsure of what we're doing here in reality. And that's why I'm so passionate about learning and being able to speak about these complex topics in digestible manners. And it's why I love Purium so much, because we actually use Purium as a framework to practice skills like manifestation, right? Skills like setting a vision and actually creating it within life. And it gives people clarity, and I get to watch people actually become secure in their life, as I do as well. I work on my mindset because it's necessary to do what we do in this business. Like, this is part of the game, and we're professionals at it. And usually professionals love what they do. And so I definitely love what we get to do in this profession, and I'll get to share about it with you guys.
I could just cry. I mean, to hear, anyways, I don't want to take up the time. Ra's passionate about personal development, especially in terms of our profession. It's just, I believe it's the difference between a wannabe and a champion. And I hope you took notes that he studies, like he makes, this is a practice. Just like you practice any other skills, learning to have a solid, strong, ever-evolving, strengthening mindset is a purposeful practice. So let's just go right to Ross. So the first thing on his list was mindset isn't just a mind. Why don't you take it away, Rob?
Yeah, so just kind of understanding how our human instrument works is going to allow us to be able to play a better song in our life, right? Like basically make a melody of our life. And so really understanding how everything works is important, right? If you give me a guitar, I don't know how to play the guitar, I'm not going to make music. But if you give somebody who's been practicing and understanding what the purpose of the strings are, what the purpose of the wood is, what the purpose of tuning it is, they're going to be able to make music. So there are different aspects of ourself that we do want to get familiar with. And our mind, we know what our mind is, right? We know what action is. We know what emotions are. But understanding that those are all a trinity, like it's three different things that are really one piece, then we can really understand when Leslie says mindset is more than skill set. Like it's because they're one and the same. So we can't not have mindset and expect to be able to still do the right action. It's all the same. So there's a trinity, and trinities happen throughout all of reality, right? Like past, present, and future is another example, right? Just so you guys didn't get that, past, present, and future is another example. You cannot have the present moment without the past existing, right? And same thing with the future. So I think about mindset, emotions and feelings, and action as a trinity, all right? And I also think about the mindset and the emotion and feelings as the parents of action. So our action is the manifestation of what our mind and our feeling state non-physically merge to create our action, and that's what we utilize in this physical reality. And so we're usually always talking about action. If you look on social media, if you look at the leaders, it's just all about action and 10x what you're doing. But we really can't understand action without knowing that it had two parents, right? What we were thinking and what we were feeling. And I also want to just break down feeling and emotions really, really quickly, because a lot of people feel, think, act like we don't have control of our feelings. And I would say that we most likely don't have much control of our emotions. And emotions and feelings are usually said in the same context, but they are different things. Emotions happen as a result of our amygdala in our brain producing chemicals and neurotransmitters. And then that goes into your body and it produces an emotional state. You actually feel it. But feelings are the conscious perception of the emotion. And we do have control over how we feel about an emotion. And so no matter what emotions, and I'm talking about emotions a lot, I'm going to today, because we deal with emotions heavily in this business, especially one of the strongest emotions known to the human, which is fear. Okay, so we do have to master our feeling states. And so I just want to set the parameter that mindset isn't just about what we're thinking. It's also about what we're feeling and what we're doing. So there's a trinity, and when we talk about mindset, we can't really talk about one without understanding that it's intrinsically connected to what we're doing and what we're also thinking or feeling about. So I want to end that segment there. Oh, you're muted.
I know, because I'm just taking notes and smiling. So when I think about feelings, I like to say, don't feel yourself out of it, to your point. So often we let our feelings drive us. It's like Nike came up with the best phrase in the whole world, and they said, just do it, because they know so often we're not going to feel like doing it. And so Ra's point about your emotions and your feelings and how that ultimately results in action is so powerful. Like, really go back and listen to this again, because that's a direct reflection on whether or not you are taking action and the level of action that you're taking.
I want to go just one little step deeper on this, because I didn't want to get too esoteric, but I'm just going to give a little bit for those who are into that. Actions are usually what we consider, we usually consider cause and effect, right? And an action will cause an effect. But since we're talking about feelings and thoughts, our thoughts are electrical, right? Our thoughts are electrical. Our brain is electrical. If you think about neurons, it's passing light, it's electricity. Our emotions and feelings are magnetic, right? And this whole reality is an electromagnetic field. All right, so even though our actions are the manifestation of this electromagnetism, right? Our thoughts are electric, the feelings are magnetism. That's electromagnetism manifested physically into a electromagnetic field. And so having strong alignment in our thoughts and feelings is going to produce the action automatically, which is then going to transmute the electrical magnetic field that resonates around you. I don't know if that made sense, but I just wanted to add that.
Total sense. Okay, for layman's terms, this is why you do the personal development, so you start paying attention to your thoughts. Too many people just aren't even paying attention to the thoughts, and what you're saying, I believe, is that our thoughts are what create our reality. Thoughts are things, a very well-known phrase. So, super good. We're going to come back on another call and do the whole electromagnetic more deeper into that. No, I totally dig it. Okay, second topic for Rob. He writes, there's a way to do anything in just about any way. Okay, there's a way to do anything in just about any way. Expand, please, Rob.
Success comes in so many different ways to so many different people. I mean, we see it within the network marketing business. I mean, that's the greatest thing about these calls, is that we get to hear people's backstories. Not just this call, but even if you guys just go on the Purium website, there's success stories of all the diamonds and all the leaders in the company. I mean, everyone comes from different backgrounds. And we really do have to understand that wherever you are, you can have success here. I follow this guy on Instagram. I forget his actual name, but he doesn't even have a pelvis, I don't think. So from pelvis down, it's gone. And he's the most fit person. He's doing all this cool stuff with basically just a torso and arms. His name's Zion. I think they made a movie about him also on Netflix. But he's super inspiring. He just does what he wants. And he has success in his life to a tremendous degree, and he has half of a body, right? And so no matter realizing that success is possible for you, that's part of aligning the feeling state to this, right? The faith that you can make this work no matter where you are on the map, whether you have business skills or not, whether you are an introvert or an extrovert, whether you like sales, don't like sales, wherever you are, success can happen here. Aligning to that mentally, aligning to that to your feeling state is going to be important. And then I think Leslie was just mentioning a little bit about this. What usually stops us from doing that is we start asking ourselves these questions is this going to be worth it? Am I going to be financially successful? Am I going to embarrass myself? Am I going to be victorious in this? And these questions paralyze us. I actually had a session. Seema actually bought me for my birthday a session with this guy that channels this entity named Ryok, and I had an hour session with this apparently extraterrestrial. And the one thing that I got the most out of that session was that he said that these questions that we ask ourselves paralyze us, right? Everybody asks the psychics and these intuitive people, they ask them the questions. And the thing is that if you really want to know the answer to the questions of your potential future, of your potential projects, the only way to know the answer is to do it. That's the only way that you'll ever find the answer, is to actually step into it and do it. So when we're thinking about all the things that we want to be doing with Purium, with our life, with our business, we really have to step into it and do it. And it's likely no matter what happens, that forward momentum, you're going to keep on moving in a direction. But if you let the questions of, am I going to embarrass myself? Do I really want to do this? And if you let those questions just keep you still, what's going to happen is you're going to grow roots into your current existence, right? Your current reality. And those roots make it harder and harder and harder to move from the longer you stay there. So no matter what direction is available for you to go, moving in that direction is going to be an advantage. And you do, and I'm just going to go a little bit further into this, we're at the beginning of the year, right? Which direction are you going? Are you planning for success in 2022? If we look back a year, a lot of us had success, a lot of us stayed still, and a lot of us maybe aren't are in recognition that things could be better, right? We're all over the map here, but we're all here at the beginning of the year, and we all have the whole year to look forward to. We all have the next 5 years to look forward to. We all have the next month to look forward to, and we really want to make sure that we're planning for success, that we're aligned with success, and that we have the mental part of the equation figured out, right? That we're actually choosing success, and we're not letting the distractions of life keep us still. Because we can sit around thinking all day, but making sure that we're doing laundry and cleaning our room and doing the things that we need to do, and a whole month can go by, or a whole lifetime can go by, where we're doing the things that we know that we want to do, or know that we need to do, like the laundry and the cleaning the room and the washing the car and going to do the errands. Like, all of that could take up your entire day if you don't get fixated on a goal. And so I just want to do a little exercise really quick. If you guys, because we're talking about success here, if we think about success, if we think about the headspace that we're in, if you're successful, like if you were to just define the headspace, the mind space of what you are like in your version of success, what word would come to mind to describe that? If you guys just put that in the chat. Leader, peace, consistency, free, empowerment, organized, king, abundant. Great. So these are all like how you're being mentally. What about feeling? So now think about your heart. How do you feel as a person? The successful version of you. How do you feel? Fulfilled, peaceful, passionate, light, happy, whole, abundant, blissful. Okay, good. What are the actions that match that state of being? So you guys are some of you guys are messaging me directly, so make sure you're just selected everyone. So the actions that match going fast, planning, doing it, following through. So this next thing is, when you guys think about this success, right? There's a lot of you guys that, you're writing down being persistent, but you're not being persistent, right? Am I right about that? You're writing down consistency, that's the action of success for you, but you're not consistent now, right? You might be writing down that you feel connected, but maybe you don't feel connected now. Is this ringing true? You're writing down things that are likely aspirational to you right now. And the question is then, like, how do we be this now, right? And a lot of times we feel like we can't be the successful version of ourselves because we're not successful. Right? I can't feel content. I can't feel like I should be persistent. I can't invoke motivation to follow up with the people that I follow because I'm not successful, right? Like it doesn't match realities. It doesn't feel in alignment. And so if you have one brand partner, you feel like you would be these things if you had 15 brand partners. If you had one sale a month, you feel like you would be these things if you had 3 sales a week, right? But we can't wait for that. So the answer is we have to redefine our definition of success. That's the way that we get to feel, think, and act like the successful version ourselves, is if we bring what we think about success into what we are right now. Okay? And when you guys think about success, what were you thinking about? Were you thinking about the paycheck? Put it in the chat. When you guys were thinking about success, what was the difference? Were you thinking about the paycheck? Were you thinking about the brand partner organization? Were you thinking about the rank? $50,000 a month, results, responsibility, influence, glory, lifestyle. Those are all great. But let's not lose sight of what we're doing here. All right, we're here for the success of others, both in utilizing our products, and I know I'm going long on this one, Leslie, but both in utilizing our products for health and utilizing the business, right? Zig Ziglar said you can have everything in life you want if you just help other people get what they want. So if we're focusing on the rank, if we're focusing on the paycheck, if we're focusing on the lifestyle, then we're losing grasp of what success is. And I just want to remind you guys that success of one person is success. Do you guys listen to these stories of people that are just simply consuming a ULT? We had a lady on our call, and she went from not being able to have kids to becoming pregnant, and at the same time being able to run a 6-minute mile, like from one customer. Okay, like that means something. That should encourage you to feel, think, and act successfully because we're having impact in one person. I made a chicken list last year of 100 people, and it was a true chicken list. The people that I was extremely afraid to reach out to. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done since I started this, Purium. It was so hard to get through that. The thing that got me through it was to just remind myself that if I go through these 100 people and contact them all, it's likely that one person's life would get impacted in a positive way. And that was how I was able to get over myself, get over my fears. I'm extremely shy as a person, guys. I'm extremely introverted. I'm afraid to talk to people by nature. And so this is all to say, like, redefine what you feel about what we're doing here and about success, and start recognizing that it's not just about being a 5-star crown, right? The 5-star crowns, Melissa is like able to be that confident and enthusiastic because she cares about helping people. And she was like that the whole time. She didn't wait, right? We're not waiting for success to be successful. All right.
This is so good. I'm not going to recap all my notes. I want to point out one thing in specific that you just said. You notice when Ra was talking about being shy or not being comfortable or being afraid, and that making that list of 100 people on a chicken list, the people he was so afraid to talk to, what got him through it was his outward focus of service. Too often when we are looking inward, that's when our fears keep us stuck. I'm too afraid. I don't want to be rejected. I want somebody to tell me no. All these things that keep, in Ra's words, your roots going deep and deeper is self-focus. Ra just gave you a beautiful example of what gives him courage, what gives all of you the courage to tap into your full potential, is an outward focus of service. Like, I hope you all really heard that and take it to heart. He said a lot of super things, but I'm going to keep going. So good. Okay, Ra, you bring up an interesting point here, the clarity of our relationship. The clarity of our relationship to business, to money, and in Ra's terms, the fact that we're doing one of these MLM things. So let's talk about clarity around our business model and this profession.
Right. So we're in business, right? And I'm going to assume that, you know, how many people are on this call? We've got 350-ish people on the call, that you guys are all here to be a professional, right? To make impact like a professional, to be paid as a professional. So I'm going to be speaking to you guys from that framework. I know that's not necessary by being involved with Purium, but you guys are on the business call. So I'm going to be speaking to you guys as a professional. When you're a professional, you need to know the cost of being a professional. You don't just accidentally become a professional. You don't become a professional because you decided to. You don't become a professional because you bought a launch kit, right? Because you purchased the ULT and you did it and you had success. So if we look at other examples, like in sports, the cost of being a professional is years and years and years of practice and dedication, right? In music, if you want to be a professional musician, it's years and years and years and years of practice and dedication. If you want to be a professional artist, It's years and years and years and years of practice and dedication. It's no different with what we're doing. To be a professional network marketer, it's years and years and years of practice and dedication. The cost is the same. The commitment's the same. I read a book, again, I forgot it. It's the guy who actually is responsible for the 10,000 hour rule to become an expert. And the important thing is not the book or who he is. It's that he says that 10,000 hour rule is massively misquoted. And what he actually found is that it's 10,000 focused hours committed to becoming better than you were yesterday. It's not just 10,000 hours and then you're an expert. It's 10,000 extremely focused, wanting to get better hours. And so knowing that this is a several year journey, and for me, I mean, it could be potentially the rest of my life, right? Like I've got Michael and Lucy, and Michael's been doing this for 30 years. Right? He's just been doing network marketing for 30 years, which is awesome. Right? So there's nothing saying to me that I'm going to be in and out of this profession. Like I'm committed. I'm married. I've heard other leaders say you marry this, which means that highs and lows, you're committed to it. So we need to know the cost. We also need to know the map. Right? We do need to know the map of what it takes. That means knowing the compensation plan, everyone. Knowing the promotions. Knowing how to relay the promotions to the team. Knowing the skills of communication. Right? So we're professionals. We need to know the cost. We need to know the map. We need to know the skills. We need to practice all of these things. And as we practice, these techniques become ours. I used to own CrossFit gyms. I was very good in that sport. And the way that we would talk about the techniques that we would attain, we would talk about them as if they were objects that we then owned. So like there's these things called double unders where you jump rope and the rope goes under your feet twice. And it takes a little bit of practice. It takes a few weeks before you would learn how to do that. For some people, it took years. But once you had them, then you had them, right? So when I would be coaching a class, I would ask someone, do you have double unders? Like, is this a skill that you own? Same thing with muscle ups. Do you have muscle ups? Do you have a pull up? Do you have a 225 pound back squat? So the skills and the techniques that we learn, we have them forever. And recognize that, like, a skill and a technique that we use in this profession is a tool. And it's a tool that it's like riding a bike, that once we have it, we have it. When you learn the tool, the skill, the technique of overcoming an objection, then you have it. So it's really about, it's like a video game. It's about attaining the tools. And so once you know these things, once you see the tools necessary and you attain them, you start to actually become more confident at what we're doing. How many of you guys remember the first time or the first week that you went to the gym, or you went to a yoga class, or you went to go do something that you've never done before? I used to own gyms, guys. I got to the point where I would walk into gyms all over the world and people knew who I was, okay? But I remember when I was 19 years old and 145 pounds, which is 40 pounds less than I was, 145 pounds, walking in a gym and being scared. And like, you know, you go up to the machines and you're like pretending like you're not looking at the instructions on how to like do a bicep curl on this machine. And you're like embarrassed to be like staring at the instructions, but you do it anyways and you learn how to do the machines. I was so scared. All right. And it's okay to be like that within MLM, right? Network marketing. Is it like, it's okay to feel that way, but know that it's just a phase, and that getting confident for me, in order to own a gym, I couldn't be scared. I had to know all the skills. But once I was there, like, gyms are like like it's no thing for me to go into a gym now. But it's the same thing with MLM and this pyramid thing that we're doing. Like once you guys understand and your practice and you're well put together and you have experience, it's like being embarrassed about it is the furthest thing from a reality. That all is just in your head when you start. And I'm saying this just because it's a common fear. It's a common objection that a lot of you will receive if you are afraid. No one ever asked me, like, no one ever is objecting to me about this being MLM or that the products are part of an MLM. I love it, right? I learned early on that the only way to answer, I think Sonia said, the only way to answer that question, is this an MLM, is saying, yes, it is, and it's awesome. I wouldn't be doing it otherwise. Like, that's the reason why I'm doing this. So just know that you have to learn the tools, you have to practice, and that once you do this whole thing, you're going to be confident, all right? And you're going to be one of the people that help shift the public's perception of MLM. Not that it's bad, but there's a lot of there's a lot of people that are naive to this, and you're going to be part of the solution. We need you to get confident. We need you to act professional and be real about what you're doing.
This is so good. Okay. So, couple things. I'm going to take that quote because it actually wasn't Sonia, and I would certainly give it to Sonia if it was, but it was my mother. No, truly, this is why I'm pulling it, because it wasn't Sonia, it was my mother. My mother sponsored me. My mom and I worked this business for 16 years, Ron, and people would ask my mother, is this network marketing? My mom would look them right in the eye with a smile and say, you bet it is. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
It's like bulletproof. So, super good. About everything, courage and understanding and systems and practice. And it's a choice. It's a choice how we move through this. All right, let's go to another one. How about, and you know, next month in February, one of our Tuesday night calls is going to be completely dedicated to objection responses. I've had so many requests for that, and that's coming up in February. But one of your points is knowing how to handle your own objections, right? So let's dive into this a little bit, Ron.
Yeah, so one thing that I'm sure you'll go over is that when someone gives you an objection, you don't resist it, right? You don't try and say like, no, that's wrong. You know, like when you resist something, it persists, right? So when somebody says, I don't like this, we really want to stand next to them, right? And walk them to the other side of the fence. That's one technique, I'm sure there's many, on how we handle objections, right? We let them know, like, hey, I thought the same thing. And what I found out was, fill in the blank. And so we resonate with the objector. We let them know that, like, it's completely natural for you to be skeptical. I thought the same thing, and this is what I found. And you tell them the story about how you were where they're standing and you walked to the other side, and now there's benefits for you. And then that inspires them to, take a look. And so it's the same thing with the objections that we hear ourselves say in our head. It is our responsibility to do our own homework and find those stories. Find the things that resonate with us. And it's not necessarily like a one-time thing. This is something when you're hearing everybody talk on these calls and in your team meetings, and when you're just having that conversation with your upline, listen to the befores. Like, listen to the befores and almost memorize them, but like imprint them into your own psyche, because you're going to need to bring that up when you feel like you're not good enough, that you don't want to do this. And you're going to remember. So Diamond Club is something that everybody here has an opportunity to go to. And I remember Sarah Rhinelander at the Diamond Club I went to talking about how she was struggling when she was working her way, up the chain, and she was crying and talking to her mentors, and she had all these thoughts about, is she just making her upline money? And she was like, going through her breakdown moments, and that was actually like very powerful for me. Like I was able to utilize that to kind of like pull me through the possibility, because all those feelings were the same for me. I had extreme objections about what this was and who's making money on my sales and all those things. And to hear her, right, who's at a level of success that I was aspiring to be, say that she had the same things was something that I latched onto. So we need to be able to do our homework so that we can handle our own objections, and not by handle it like Navy SEAL style, where you just tell yourself to like shut up and keep going. Like that's you putting resistance on an actual feeling that's true. You have to like handle your objection with finesse, just like you would an actual person, and find the stories that are resonating with you, so that you can carry yourself forward when you feel yourself objecting to any situation. And fear, so you guys can see, I mean, I mentioned a little bit about structuring reality around intentions or manifesting, and I've tested this in many different ways. And so I've worked a lot with fear and pain, but fear is something that I've worked a ton about. And pain was also something that's why I was good at CrossFit, because I was able to just do painful things for a really long amount of times. The reason why I worked a lot on these lower level emotions is because in order to be powerful within reality, we want to not be in that zone of fear and anxiety and guilt and shame and anger. Like that's not what is powerful. What's powerful is happiness and joy and love and thankfulness, right? Like even not from an esoteric standpoint, like just think about somebody walking in a room. Are you going to want to do business with the fearful guy, or the guy that walks in smiling and walks up to you confidently, looks you in the eye and starts talking to you and makes you feel like a superstar? So working with fear is important, and there's an exercise that I've used to get over fear, and it's just asking myself, what's the worst that can happen? And then actually meditating on the worst thing that could possibly happen. And for me, I would actually even act on it. I would purposely put myself in situations that were bad and and realize that I can handle it. Right? Like we can handle it. So when you guys are fearful of something, just ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? And then play that scenario out in your head. And maybe that leads to, well, it's because I'm afraid of this. Then play that next scenario. Just keep on asking, what's the worst that can happen? It might get to the point where you're like, well, this could happen, and this could happen, and this could happen, and then I would die. Okay, so get to that point. However old you are, it's time to face the fact that death is a healthy part of life. And our society's done a really good job of making that not correct, right? Like making it super fearful. But death is fundamental for all of our fears. That is the fundamental root of all of our fears. So we do have to, I would invite you all, speak more easy, I would invite you all to really just meditate on your deepest, darkest fears and put yourself in those scenarios, so that when regular life happens and you have to do regular life things, fear doesn't pop up and you're not unable to attend to it. So whatever you're doing, if you've already meditated on the worst thing that can happen and realized that like it's not that bad, that gives you power. It gives you extreme amount of power, because then you're not afraid. And when you quit being afraid of everything, including death, then you can actually start living your life. So that's just a little trick that I use. I really meditate on what's the absolute worst thing that can happen in this situation. I really find out that it's like hard to jostle me. I'm like, that's not even that bad, man.
This is so good. This is so good. One of my karmic lessons is definitely fear into faith. I had an intuitive reading twice a year for 25 years until she passed away. And moving through fear. I find for myself, Ra, that when I act every time I find my courage to act, I become more proficient at moving through fear. Like every time I move through my fear on the bike, it makes me braver in life. I move through fear in my business, it makes me braver, in relationships. Like every time every time I choose to move through fear, my definition of fear shifts.
Yeah, and you become a different person. And I would even go so far to say that reality has shifted around you. Like you've actually stepped through a portal with new possibilities.
With new possibilities. I say the perception of what's possible is on the other side of fear. You only get to embrace your potential, the empowerment, the courage, the achievements, the growth, if you're prepared to move through your fear. Ron, I'm going to invite Ron back. Ron and I may do a whole hour on fear one of these days, because it's just something that I give a lot of thought and attention and training to, and it sounds, well, I'm convinced just by listening to him, every time I listen to him, that Ron does as well. So we will come back to fear on another call. Final topic this evening, and I know we're all loving this. Final topic, the minute I read this sentence, I had to sit back and I smiled and I closed my eyes. I really did a little prayer on it. How to live inside your vision board. Okay, what do you mean by this, Ron?
How to live inside your vision board. So we all know what vision boards are, right? And it was like that, what I was talking about earlier, what I had you guys do, and where you thought about the successful version of yourself. And usually what ends up happening is that it's different than who you are now, right? And that allows you to imagine yourself being emotionally different, thinking differently, feel like acting differently. And we want to start merging these things together, and that allows us to access the power of, let's just call it the future now. And that power is necessary for you to get to that future. A lot of people think that you become confident through success. No, you become successful through the work, through you being confident even when you're not confident. And just realize that life is a series of before and afters. And getting real with the fact that you right now are living in the vision board of the last 3 to 5 years. What you were thinking about, what you were feeling, what you were doing is currently what you have manifested in your life, right? And just like the Trinity, none of that, that is now. You are living in the state of being that you have been. Your business is likely the state of being of what you were thinking, acting, doing for the last 90 days, right? Like what's manifesting in your business in terms of who's in your funnel and who's successfully moving through it. And so the past is tied to the future, and some of you guys right now things are better than they were. Some of you guys things are worse, but either way it's linked. And knowing that who you are now is going to be setting you up for your manifestations in the future is important. All right, now this whole vision board thing, I've got my own strategies. I just want to share it. So let's say you have a vision board. If you guys go look at your vision board, I'm just going to use a normal example. All right, let's just say a car. If a Lamborghini's on your vision board and you look at the Lamborghini, you're probably looking at it like, if I had a Lamborghini when I'm driving that thing and I pull into a parking lot, there's probably this whole story about who you are with the Lamborghini, right? How you're thinking, how you're feeling, what actions you are, how you walk into the store after everybody saw you pull in with this car. This is just like me from a male standpoint. This is kind of the things that are on my vision board, things like that. We have to take those thoughts, those feelings and actions and implant them into ourselves when we get into the car that we have now. And if we're able to do that, we are going to be that person internally, and everyone's going to experience that person. And that person is the type of person that is going to get and achieve that success. It's not about faking it, right? It's not necessarily about faking it. It's like, are you able to be the successful person now without the rewards of success. You guys have heard of these millionaires and billionaires that are rich and then lose everything, and then are rich and then lose everything. The reason why they're able to go back up is because when they go down, and I've been up and down several times in my life as well, that when they go down, they recognize that they still identify with that successful person. I remember being super high in Michigan, and I moved to California and then lost all my money and was living on a couch. And I was just like, I remember the specific time I was driving in my friend's convertible car in the passenger seat. He was a successful lawyer. I was broke, but I didn't feel broke. I was just like so excited to see who I was going to be in a few years. And I had everything that I wanted. And so it is important to make vision boards and then infuse that into your life to the point where you can't even tell that you're making it up, that you're faking it. Like, you really have to be this person. Now, how does this relate to Purium? Because I used the car example. Same thing, guys. When you're talking to customers, let's just start with customers. Talk to them like you've sold 1,000 ULTs before and watched 1,000 people make transformations. Purium has sold well over 100,000 ULTs to people that have had success with it. You can even speak about it. We've impacted over 100,000 people with this package, the 40 days included in that. So talk like you have been doing this forever. With brand partners, with your team, infuse the success, the vision board of tomorrow with Purium into how you're being. Your team needs that. Your customers need that. They need to see that you know where you're going, right? Like if a train came by and the conductor was like, I don't know where we're going, but we're going somewhere, in the realm, in the vicinity of safety, you probably wouldn't get on that train, right? People around you. So those of you guys who have been exposing this to people, even if they've been saying no, that's good. They're saying, you didn't know where you were going. I'm going to wait out until you're absolutely certain where you're flying in that jet to, right? People need to see that you're going towards your vision board success, whatever that is, whether they're coming with you or not. And when they can trust that you're going somewhere, whether they come with you or not, then they can ask the question, do I want to get on this? Do I want to join? Do I want to be a part of this? Do I want to one day be as confident and as happy and successful and sure of where I'm going like this person? So bring your vision board into your life. Like, literally stamp it on everything that's on your vision board, whether it's a house, a car, the confidence of you being a leader. Like, take it off the vision board and like put it into your current reality and see that. Don't see anything else, just see that and be that. And that's how you achieve that. That's all I got to say about that.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm following along with the chats. Like bring your vision for the future into your actions in your life today. It's just so beautiful. All right. I'm conscious of time. I could talk about this for another 2 hours. I mean, this is my favorite topic in the whole world, and Raw, you happen to do an exceptional 100% outstanding job at articulating and giving us things to think about in a vulnerable and transparent and brilliant way. You're just really a gift. You're a gift to this field and to this community, and I appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much for listening and receiving, everybody, and Leslie. Thank you guys for having me. I'm passionate about this stuff. Technique's also super important, so we gotta learn from all the different types of teachings and then integrate everybody. We gotta integrate this. That's how it becomes valuable to you.
Excellent. Rod, thank you. You're getting tons of love in the chat, as he should. All right, my friends, as always, I'm going to end with win. What's important now? Take all this, like the this whole, like how you're feeling right now, and direct it towards Fast Start 2022 with the Futurist Achievement, Fast Start Reset, Diamond Club. This is the year, this is the quarter, this is the month. Truly, 2022 can be your breakout year. It is a choice. Everything is here for you, from systems to support to trainings like you heard from Rob this evening. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure each and every one of you moves forward and turns your dreams into reality. All right, my friends, this was an outstanding call. I'm really quite emotionally moved. It's just really is so good. Rob, thank you again so much. Everybody, take what you learned and put it into practice. Really live your best life. Tap into that potential. You have everything inside you necessary to live your best life.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, my friends. All right, Scott, open up the lines, if you would, please, so that everyone could thank Ra.
All right, here we go.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
Thank
you,
Rob.
Thank you, Leslie.
All right, Instagram. Thank you guys for watching.
Hi, everybody.
Good night. Good night.